Good morning and welcome to the online church service for June 13th. We're so happy to have you with us today. Please join me for the welcoming statement. No matter who you are or where you are on your life's journey, you are welcome here. My name is Kirsten and my pronouns are she, her, hers. Here at the Austin Congregational UCC and Spirituality Center, we continue to celebrate Pride Month. The past year has been incredibly difficult for so many, but we also know that lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender, queer, and questioning youth have faced unique challenges. The Trevor Project's 2021 National Survey on LGBTQ youth mental health sheds light on many of the challenges by capturing the experiences of nearly 35,000 LGBTQ youth ages 13 to 24 across the United States. This sample is their most diverse yet, with 45% being LGBTQ youth of color and 38% being transgender or non-binary. Among some of the key findings of the survey, 42% of LGBTQ youth seriously considered attempting suicide in the past year, including more than half of transgender and non-binary youth. 94% of LGBTQ youth reported that recent politics negatively impacted their mental health. More than 80% of LGBTQ youth stated that COVID-19 made their living situation more stressful, and only 1 in 3 LGBTQ youth found their home to be LGBTQ affirming. 70% of LGBTQ youth stated that their mental health was poor, most of the time or always during COVID-19. 48% of LGBTQ youth reported they wanted counseling from a mental health professional, but were unable to receive it in the past year. 75% of LGBTQ youth reported that they had experienced discrimination based on their sexual orientation or gender identity at least once in their lifetime. Half of all LGBTQ youth of color reported discrimination based on their race or ethnicity in the past year, including 67% of Black LGBTQ youth and 60% of Asian Pacific Islander LGBTQ youth. Transgender and non-binary youth who have reported having pronouns respected by all of the people they lived with attempted suicide at least half the rate of those who did not have their pronouns respected by anyone with whom they lived. Transgender and non-binary youth who were able to change their name and or gender marker on legal documents such as driver's license and birth certificates reported lower rates of attempting suicide. LGBTQ youth who had access to spaces that affirmed their sexual orientation and gender identity reported lower rates of attempting suicide. This data underscores many of the serious challenges experienced by LGBTQ youth over the last year and should serve as an urgent call to action. But it also speaks to the diversity and resiliency of LGBTQ youth and provides valuable insights into their everyday sources of strength and positivity.
There's a land that I see where the children are free, and I say it ain't far to this land from where we are. Take my hand, come with me where the children are free. Come with me, take my hand, and we'll live in a land where the river runs free, in a land through the green country, in a land to a shining sea, and you and me are free to be. You and me, ba 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 ba. I see a land bright and clear, and the time's coming near when we'll live in this land, you and me, hand in hand. Take my hand, come along, lend your voice to my song. Come along, take my hand, sing a song. For a land where the river runs free, for a land through the green country, for a land to a shining sea, for a land where the horses run free, and you and me are free to be. You and me, ba 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 ba. Every boy in this land grows to be his own man. In this land, every girl grows to be her own woman. Take my hand, come with me where the children are free. Come with me, take my hand, and we'll run to a land where the river runs free, to a land through the green country, to a land to a shining sea, to a land where the horses run free, to a land where the children are free, and you and me are free to be, and you and me are free to be, you and me are free to be, you and me, ba 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 ba, you and me, you and me, you and me, and you and me are free to be, you and me.
A prayer written by Pastor Fritz Fowler. God of love, we thank you for the spirits who are trailblazing, moving and shaking people's hearts and minds. Stir up in us that same energy of those who helped pave the way for where our LGBTQIA+ siblings are today. May we never stop expanding the borders of love and acceptance for all. In your mercy, hear our prayer. Weaver of justice, let us be your hands and feet. May we follow the Spirit's lead and work for justice and equity for our LGBTQIA+ siblings. In your mercy, hear our prayer. Compassionate Jesus, on the days where this work of justice and reconciliation feel like too much, help lighten our load. Soften our hearts to welcome people of all sexual orientations, gender identities, and gender expressions in all of the bodies in which they encompass. Teach us to learn and relearn with humility and excitement. In your mercy, hear our prayer. Creator God, we marvel in awe of the expansiveness of your creation. Your margins of diversity are boundless, and for that, we thank you. Each of our beloved LGBTQIA+ siblings are beautifully and wonderfully made, all in your image. Teach us to love people just as they are and embrace their identity fully as you have embraced us. In your mercy, hear our prayer. A reading from 1 John chapter 4, verse 11. Beloved, if God so loved us, we also ought to love one another.
All are deserving of this love so great, 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 it's inexhaustible. So give it all away and don't ask anymore. What is my way, way, way? You are a miracle. So let it play, play, play. I am a light
It Feels Good to Be Yourself, a book about gender identity, written by Teresa Thorne and illustrated by Noah Grigney. This is Ruthie. She's a transgender girl. That means when she was born, everyone thought she was a boy, until she grew a little older, old enough to tell everyone that she's actually a girl. Girl is Ruthie's gender identity. This is Ruthie's brother, Xavier. Xavier is a cisgender boy. That means when Xavier was born, everyone thought he was a boy, and as he grew older, it turned out everyone was right. He is a boy. Boy is Xavier's gender identity. There are so many different ways to be a boy or a girl. Too many to fit in a book. But not everyone feels like either a boy or a girl. Non-binary is a helpful word that can describe a kid who doesn't feel exactly like a boy or a girl. This is Ruthie's friend, Alex. Alex is both a boy and a girl. When Alex was born, everyone thought Alex was a girl. But Alex is both boy and girl. This is Alex's gender identity. This is Alex's friend, JJ. JJ is neither a boy nor a girl. Ever since JJ was very little, they never felt exactly like a boy or a girl. They just felt like themselves. This is JJ's gender identity. Alex and JJ are both non-binary. Just like there are many different ways to be a boy or a girl, there are many different ways to be non-binary. Too many to fit in a book. Some kids feel like girls. Some kids feel like boys. Some kids feel like a little bit of both. Part boy, part girl. Some kids don't feel exactly like a boy or a girl. They feel like neither. Some kids feel that their gender identity isn't always the same. It's often changing. And even with all these possible ways to be, some kids don't feel any of the words they know fit them exactly right. There are a never-ending number of ways to be yourself in the world. Whether you feel like a boy, a girl, both, or neither, or if you describe yourself another way, that is your gender identity. Your gender identity might match what people thought you were when you were born, or it might not. See, when you were born, you couldn't tell people who you were or how you felt. They looked at you and made a guess. Maybe they got it right, maybe they got it wrong. What a baby's body looks like when they're born can be a clue to what that baby's gender will be, but not always. When people guess wrong, it's okay to let them know. Ruthie was 5 when she told her parents, "I know you think I'm a boy, but really I feel like a girl." Oops, Ruthie was a girl all along. They just didn't know it at first. When people guess right, it's okay to let them know. Xavier was 3.5 when he told his family, "I'm a boy. I like being a boy." You might feel like a boy. You might feel like a girl. You might feel like both boy and girl, or like neither. You might feel like your gender changes from day to day or from year to year. You might feel that none of these words describes you perfectly. You might not be sure yet. Maybe you're still figuring it out. Your feelings about your gender are real. Listen to your heart. No matter what your gender identity is, you are okay exactly the way you are, and you are loved. It feels good to be yourself, doesn't it? The end.
Let's join in the Lord's Prayer.
There's a special version this morning called the Lord's Prayer for Transgender Awareness, written by the Reverend Kim Sorrells of Central Congregational UCC, Atlanta. Our Mother and Father, our beloved parent, in whom we move and breathe and have our being, the hallowing of your name shines forth in the diversity of your children. May your peace and love, justice and equality, inclusion and belonging reign here on earth as in heaven. Grant that our transgender loved ones might have their daily needs met, that they might find gainful employment without discrimination, that they might have access to medical care without fear, and that they might have their rights and lives protected, and that they might find a loving community to belong to and call their own. Forgive us for the ways that we have fallen short and failed your transgender children. Forgive us of the times we turned away or did not care, for the times we laughed or judged their unique expression of your image, for the times we have misspoken, asked too much, or failed to hear, as we forgive those who might have failed us. Lead us away from the temptation to be complacent in the face of injustice, but instead give us courage to stand up and stand with your beloved children. For your love and justice is to be made manifest now and forever. Amen. For the seasons of hope, we lift in prayer Rick, Sylvia, Sarah Kay, Anna, Sarah Lisney, Bob and Joe Collins, Dan, members of the LGBTQ+ community, essential workers, caregivers, leaders and advocates of justice around the world. And in our gratitude and acts of kindness bowl, someone left a note that they are grateful for our LGBTQ+ community. And the Salvation Army thanked us for the 50 pounds of donated food that helped feed 849 people in May. And for the month of June, the church will be collecting canned meat and fish.
Please join us in our sending response from Micah 6:8. What does our still speaking God require? What does our still speaking God require? Do justice, love kindness, walk humbly with our God. Do justice, love kindness, walk humbly with our God.